final playback, when you've done the long play of the film, you've stitched the reels together, you've done the work, the producers come in, everybody's in to see this piece of art they've been creating for the last who knows how many years, 2-3 years. They all come in, sit down together, slightly sweaty palms, you hit play. For everybody in the theatre, you go, oh, I hope this works. Sit back, and after about 5 minutes, you relax into it, and you just enjoy the film with everybody there. That's special. My name's Jasper Thorne. I'm a re-recording mixer here at Pinewood Post Production. My main role is to mix the sound elements of a film. My usual role is to mix the sound effects, backgrounds and Foley, but I also am comfortable mixing dialogue and music as well.
I'm Fergus Pateman. I'm the senior mix technician at Pinewood. I mostly look after our OV original versioning sound mixing clients, making sure that the technology that we have is configured the way it needs to be, and essentially to give our clients as much of a frictionless experience as possible when they walk through the door. I'm very much more on the sort of tech side. I kind of, bit of a hybrid. I work with the clients, but I also work with our engineering team to make sure that we have the right technology and that the technology is implemented in the way that our clients need it to work. So today we're here at Pinewood Post in the Pressburger Theatre, which is our flagship mixing theatre here at Pinewood. It's a recently refurbished space. We've completely changed the back end in the machine room, but also interior, the decoration. It's had a complete overhaul.
So Pinewood is approaching its 90th anniversary, and here in this room and across our different post-production theatres, we've hosted some of the biggest films ever made. Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, David Lean's Great Expectations. Some of the original James Bond films were mixed at Pinewood Post-Production, for example, Live and Let Die. There's just a whole list of fantastic productions. Quite amazing, the journey this place has gone through, and we're very, very fortunate to kind of work and live in this kind of history here. It's amazing. You feel very fortunate being able to spend your time in this place.
Yeah, you kind of get used to it, and then you sometimes have to remind yourself that not every person's workplace looks like this. It's a lovely space to be in, and if it's free, sometimes I'll come in here and take my meetings just because it looks cool. So, in addition to the larger format feature film mixes we do in here, we also do high-end TV. So, series such as Lord of the Rings: Rings of Power Season 2 was mixed in this room. In addition to that, we also do some musical projects. So we have clients in who mix in spaces like this. In Dolby Atmos, we will mix live sort of filmings of theatre shows and theatre productions, which is really cool. Also live filmed concerts, and also we've done some musical documentaries in this room, in IMAX and in Dolby Atmos as well, with sort of pieces to camera and then snip cuts to kind of old concert archive footage and stuff like that, which is amazing to sort of experience it in this immersive space. And finally, this room also gets used for localization mixing, which is the kind of foreign language dubs of films and high-end TV. So it's really a room that can handle and does handle a multitude of different types of work, and it does a great job of all of it. 3 or 4 years ago, Cinematic Rooms was the first one that popped up, I think, on the radar. We started getting requests for it. I think initially from people on the musical side, the music editors would put it in their templates and bring it to us, and whatever's in their templates we have to get hold of. So I found it was getting used as a nice kind of lush surround tail verb, because with cuts happening so often, you often can't rely on the natural recorded reverb of the space when they recorded the score, because when they record it, it gets often cut to shreds in between. But I think since it's come in, it's being used more and more in completely different ways.
It started to crop up a lot more in effects templates, in dialogue templates. We honestly see it across the board now. I think it's a go-to reverb for anything that requires a lush, large space.
Yeah. I think, as I say, Cinematic Rooms was the first one that really came on our radar. But then, since then, I've slowly been seeing an increase in the usage of Seventh Heaven. Again, that one very specifically on music. I'm finding people that are music editors or on some of the live sort of filmed documentaries and live film concerts, live film theatre shows, I'm seeing Seventh Heaven used. As you said, I think they are finding their way into templates more and more. They're cropping up in our clients' templates.
It's more often than not nowadays.
Yeah.
So we're almost prepping our rigs with it in mind, and we think about our licenses in mind. We think, right, okay, we've got an effects rig, we've got a music rig. We can almost guarantee there's going to be Liquid Sonics reverb plugins in those templates. For me, when I'm mixing, there are obviously lots of different choices of reverbs that we can reach for. We have convolution reverbs, impulse responses that we can reach for, and those tend to have quite a realistic sound to them. What I love about Cinematic Rooms and Liquid Sonics products is the lushness that you get from them, the beautiful musical sounding tails that you can get, not just for use on music. You don't have to just use it on music. It's amazing on dialogues, on, again, anything in a big space. For me, that's where I'm thinking about maybe not using an impulse response from Altiverb. I'd much rather try out, because I know every time I use these plugins, I'm going to get that lush sound in a very short amount of time. I don't have to cycle through 5 or 6 presets. I'll open the plugin up and, hey, straight away, there's going to be something that works. The way I work with Cinematic Rooms and the Liquid Sonics plugins is that, yes, I have a go-to preset, but I think the thing is you can cycle through almost every one and they all sound good. And I'm not just saying that, it's like this is, whereas with a convolution reverb, you would have to go for quite a while sometimes to find the right thing. You would have to cycle through preset after preset, but with Liquid Sonics plugins, you can pull it up and you can, almost every time you're impressed with what it's doing.
Yeah.
It might not quite be right for what you're trying to achieve, but I don't necessarily, with these plugins, have a list of go-to presets.
People in their templates, they need several options. And I find that for bedding in, for trying to sort of emulate the room that the sound was recorded in, people often will go towards a convolution reverb to try and sort of, maybe on Foley, it tends to be a convolution reverb, trying to recreate a natural space. I think what people value with something like Cinematic Rooms and algorithmic reverb is how tweakable it is, how it's used to kind of create an enhanced sounding room. It can sound very natural, I think.
And the tweakability allows you to make it sound natural.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So for like a music, you're kind of enhancing the music. It's that type of reverb. It's not like we need to try and make this sound as much like the onset sound as possible. I think you want an option, really. You want a delay, you want a convolution, and you want an algorithmic. And I think Cinematic Rooms tends to be filling that algorithmic space in people's templates now.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's become the leader in that kind of algorithmic reverb space, definitely.
One really cool example of the way that the Liquid Sonics suite was used together in one project, a project we did called Next to Normal. It was one of these live filmed stage shows by one of our clients, Tim Clark, mixed by Adam Scrivener. And I thought it was really interesting the way they used the two plugins, Seventh Heaven and Cinematic Rooms, together to do kind of different things, to have a separation in what each one was doing and what using them for what they're really good at. Cinematic Rooms was the sound of the theatre, to enhance it and to really sell the space. And then Seventh Heaven was used as the sort of musical reverb, the one that was being used on the drums and the piano and the vocals to make the music sound great. And I just loved the way that you had that kind of distinction, and it was so easy to just tell, like, that's the musical reverb, that's the natural reverb. And of course, both can be used interchangeably if you want, but I think so many musicians and sound music mixers are used to the Broadcaster, used to the M7, used to those presets, the way it sounds, that it's a great go-to for them. Pick that preset, whatever that may be. I know from experience what that's going to sound like. I love to use the M7 on stuff. They can use that, they can take that plugin and use that plugin for that, and then they can take the Cinematic Rooms and say, I want to recreate the room here. I want a nice sounding big room that has not got the horrible reflections. It's just enhancing what we've got. And I think they used it to great effect, blending between the two in the songs as well. In the dialogue scenes, there's no seventh heaven. It's just cine rooms giving you that natural space. And then as you transition into the songs, the clients, dialed back on the cine rooms, left it there for that, just to still have it, even subconsciously selling the room to you, the listener. But then the musical reverb takes over and sounds lush and exactly as you would want it to sound.
Giving you that contrast between musical moments and then the more sort of reality of the drama on stage as well.
Yeah.
Going from, okay, here's a musical moment, and now we're back in the room watching this drama unfold, and we feel a part of this because we're embedded in the space.
Yeah, it just sounds really natural. I think they did such a great job, and I think it's a really cool example of the way that the plugins have their own uses.
We have a heavy reliance on software reverbs, software plugins. We need instant recallability between the different reels of a film. We need to work fast. We need to have presets which we can rely on and get to quickly. It's not to say it can't be done with hardware reverb, but it's so much more efficient, and speed and efficiency is a massive thing in the world that we operate in. We have to be able to work quickly and efficiently and get results that we know are going to work fast.
I agree. And to pick up on what Jasper said as well, for us, with Pro Tools, with the Avid S6, with all of this, it all being digital, it means you can really go from one project to the next as quick as possible. It is really the key in post-production workflows. You need to be able to just flip the switch and go, and that is harder with a hardware reverb. The other thing that we haven't mentioned is that because the back-end technology of our theatres, we try and keep it as identical as possible. You can port the mix to another room in a very short period of time as well. And that's quite key to what we do, is being able to move a mix to cater for our clients. If one client comes in and says, I want to work in this room, or we want to review in that room, we can do that. We can move from this theatre, the Pressburger Theatre, into the sister theatre, the Powell Theatre, with relative ease, a few plug-in installations and license switching around, and really off we go. Our mixing desk is recallable. Using a little USB stick, you can get the settings.
Yeah, I think one of the mixes I did went to 5 different theatres that we have. 5. And each and every time it's simple enough to recall and it's fast. But yeah, it's a key thing for us to be able to have that flexibility, and the way that we've designed the theatres here makes that very easy.
So we have 17 mixing theatres at Pinewood, 10 of which are at Shepperton Studios and 7 of which are here at Pinewood Studios. So we have 2 large dual operator mixing theatres like we're in today at Pinewood. We've got the Pressburger Theatre here, which is slightly smaller than our larger theatre next door, the Powell Theatre, which can accommodate slightly larger mixes in terms of more creatives, more people can fit. We also have one large dual operator theatre at Shepperton Studios called the Corder Theatre. Aside from that, we have a multitude of slightly smaller single operator theatres, including some much smaller ones for kind of more suited towards home entertainment and TV mixing, in addition to these large ones which are mostly used for feature film and high-end TV. So this room is capable of Dolby Atmos, IMAX 12, IMAX 5, all the IMAX formats, Atmos, the full works. It's got 47 speakers in this room. With the IMAX 12, we've got an actual Voice of God loudspeaker dedicated, which allows us to kind of natively handle IMAX 12 mixing in immersive formats. 6 Mac Pros, a couple of Mac Minis. There's 5 edit stations, 2 mix positions. We've got 2 Avid S6 consoles, 24 faders each side. We have custom JBL surround enclosures with loudspeakers. We have 4 ceiling bass management subwoofers. So this theatre runs off a single Matrix 2 with Digilink expansion cards full to the brim. The monitoring is all a combination of Dante into BlueLink. We have Crown amplification in here. The entire room is Dante enabled. We have Dante headphone amps that were custom built, and even we put custom wooden cheeks on these Dante headphone amps to blend them into the room aesthetic, which I think is a really nice touch.
Yeah, all the little details.
Yeah, fully customable lighting with remote lighting controllers, so you can control the lighting. You can dig into individual lighting zones to really customize it for the clients. Yeah. We have a client room out the back where there's a retractable curtain, so they can take their meetings if they need while still watching into the room. The room can be used for theatrical mixing as well as home entertainment mixing. We have a setup in the client room with a TV and a sound bar for referencing, to hear dialogue intelligibility on consumer equipment, that type of thing. The room sounds so good front and back that you can do really nice sounding crowd ADR recordings in here with a large group of people down the front of the console. We have an Adalink Infinity KVM system that's fully flexible to be able to switch screens around, completely configurable to our clients. The S6 console is mounted in a custom flex bucket, allowing the display modules to be tilted back and forth dynamically throughout the mix. If you're reviewing, we've had mixers tilt the screens back. You can ratchet them up and down, so you can have, if you're a mixer who prefers the modules to be at an angle, you can have that. If you prefer it flat, you can have that. Screens are on Ergotron arms, they can be slid to any position. As we sort of spoke about earlier, this room has been designed to be as flexible as possible so that the clients can work the way they want to, and we're not mandating, dictating to them how they should work. I think it's really important, if we're talking about the room, we should definitely give a massive shout out to Matthew Knight and Richard Stockdale, who are post-production engineers. They were involved in the design and building of this room, and without both of their hard work, there's no way we could have achieved this result, this amazing result, without those two. So massive thank you and shout out to them.
Huge shout out to them. And as well as Matthew and Richard, I just want to shout out the whole team at Pinewood in post-production and the wider team at Pinewood Group. We have just amazing people here. We've got incredible managers. Shout out to Paul Govey, who looks after all of us. My team, Fergus's team, Andrei Gaidanov, Maisie Goodread. I also want to thank the director of post-production here, Jens Christensen. He takes care of all of us and really makes this place such a calm and an enjoyable place to work. It's not always the case, and this is a high-stress environment, and we're just very, very fortunate to have such a kind and caring management team here.
He pushes us forward, he pushes for new things and to take on new challenges, and this department has changed quite a lot in 7 years, and I think all for the better, and I think we are...
It feels like we were kind of the next wave of Pinewood post-production when we began working together, and to see where we've come from in...
Where we've landed as well.
4 to 5 years is just, it's amazing. Very exciting. And we are very, very lucky to be here.